Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be reviewing the AirHogs Star Wars TIE Fighter drone. It's basically a little mini quadcopter in TIE Fighter form. It's got a cool looking controller here. In this review we're going to be basically unboxing this, kind of setting it up, and just doing an indoor flight. Weather's pretty bad outside, so I'm just going to be doing indoor on this one. We'll be testing out all the functions and then also doing a little pros and cons at the end so you can kind of get a feel for exactly how this thing did. It does say it's battle ready. You may have to, if you're going to do the battling and stuff, these are sensitive to LED lights. So as you can see, I have the Christmas tree here with some LED lights. And there's also LED lights up here. So we'll see how it performs. I may have to turn off those lights if it starts getting a little wonky. But anyway, here's the package. Here's the box. We got our instruction manual here. It looks like there's a little card in there too, a little contact card. We have 4 extra propellers. We have the controller, and we have the TIE Fighter right here. So it looks like you will need to get a pair of scissors or something to cut these little rubber things off that are holding it in. Anyway, that's it. There's the TIE Fighter. It's got these little prop guards on here. Let's see. Doesn't look like... Maybe can we take these things off? I don't want to break anything, but I want to just see if it is possible. Yeah, so you can. So those just snap right off. I'm going to go ahead and fly without them, just because I know I'll get a little bit more performance with the prop guards off. Of course, if you're a very beginner flyer, you know, leave these things on for your child, or if you yourself as an adult are a beginner flyer, just leave those on because you'll save your propellers and, you know, you won't hurt people with those things on. And that's it here. Pretty cool looking. We have our charge port on-off switch, a couple of vents in the bottom. Here's the TIE Fighter wings. Looks like they're just screwed right on to the sides, and some venting on the top. And that's pretty much it. One light in the front. That's about it. So I'm going to set that down here, and let's get the controller out now. So the controller's in here with these little slide lock mechanisms. So you got to rip the tape off, go clockwise to open those up, and the whole thing just comes off. They're just kind of locked in there. So you get that, and then you also get a little USB charger cable. This one's cool. They actually give you a push button. Some of their drones have like screws. I'm really liking this little push lock system. You don't need a screwdriver to take this off. You can even, if you have long enough fingernails, you can even just push that in and the whole thing pops out. So here's the controller. We have like a heads up targeting display. You've got, it looks like shooting. And it looks like this left trigger is not doing anything. Just the right trigger may be functioning, but we'll double check that when we do our flight. Throttle and our yaw stick, our pitch and the roll stick on the right, power button, trims for said functions, sound on and off. These controllers have a little speaker in here, so when you do press that button, you'll hear some sound effects coming out. A little charging port. This is where you're going to plug in the craft to the charging port here, with this charging plug actually, and you're going to charge it just from the batteries that are in the controller. So let me pop these batteries in the controller, and then we'll go ahead and charge this thing up and take it for a test flight. You just plug into the very bottom, and if it needs a charge, just make sure it's off. If it needs a charge, it's going to go ahead and start blinking on this light here. But I'm seeing that the light's not blinking, so there actually should be a charge. This should be fully charged, I guess. So let's just go ahead and start flying. First thing we want to do is turn on the craft. With these toys, you always want to turn on the craft first. So switching that, you can see a red light blinking. And then turning on the controller. And we hear a bind little beep there, double beep, and now it's bound. And what we can do with this one is pulling the right trigger. So that's pretty neat. I don't know if you can see that, but on this little heads-up display, when I fire, it's actually showing 2 little LED green lights. So that's pretty neat. And we're getting that sound effect. And of course you can turn off the sound if you want. And you're just going to see those LED lights. So after a few shots, you could hear that TIE Fighter sound. I'm not sure why it made that sound, but there it goes again. So it's kind of like just changing the sounds. You don't hear the blaster fire, but you hear the TIE fighter sound. Maybe a certain amount of times you pull the trigger, you'll hear that TIE fighter sound. But left trigger, yeah, doesn't do anything. So let's go ahead and fly this. Oh, that's why. Upside down. Hello. Okay, so remember, the propellers are upside down on this one. So before you take off, make sure it's on the upright side. Okay, so taking off. Throttling up. Pulling a little bit to the right. So I'm going to trim it to the left a little bit. And that actually took care of it. 1 or 2 clicks. Anyway, so there we go. So here we are flying. There's our pitch and our roll. So it gets going pretty quick in the pitch. And we can still fire. I don't think it's shooting really any I'm not sure if it's shooting any LED out. Maybe it is. Yeah, so I think it is. It must be shooting like a invisible LED out the front. So if you have 2 of these, you can go ahead and battle. So that would be firing. You see that little LED there? Whoa! A little close up. Anyway, yaw rate. Full yaw to the right. Pretty stable. It's kind of pirouetting in its same spot there. Gets a little bit wobbly. But very surprised at how well this thing is flying. There's the full roll left and right. Let's try full throttle up. Now this thing is holding a lot of weight, so from a hover to full throttle up now, you can see how it's very slow. And that's just because it is carrying a lot of weight here. So there we go. Let's go fly by Mr. Stormtrooper. So I'd imagine, like I said before, if you do have 2 of these, I know that the AirHogs, whoa, there's a little crash test. I know that the AirHogs, they have like battle systems. So like I was saying, you see that little LED in front? So that should be, and then this one on top should be the pickup. So if you have 2 of these, go ahead and do a battle. I think what happens with these is if you land the right shot, it kind of wobbles. And then if you shoot the guy 3 times, the craft kind of goes to the ground. So kind of neat. Anyway, let's continue flying until we use up the battery and just see how this thing does. So I'm just going to fly around kind of fast. Woo! Oh! So again, it doesn't seem like this thing does have any kind of self-leveling or, you know, calibration to it as far as what I could find. So it probably calibrates itself on power on. So just make sure you're on like a level surface when you do power this kind of thing on. Now it's pulling a little bit. Oh, it was pulling to the right a little bit, but there's basically its hover. It's going a little bit forward, so I just push trim back. Let's see if we can kind of get it to hover. Let's see if we can have a hands off and see how it hovers. So hands off. Kind of weird because what's happening is those side wings are influencing the airflow. You know what I mean? So that's why it's not going to be entirely stable, but still pretty cool. I'm seeing a red blinking light on the top. So that light that was on solid is now blinking. See it there? And I'm actually full throttle up now, and it was starting to go down. It looks like the battery's starting to get a little weak. So something like this, pure Star Wars fan, cool. If you're a little kid, great gift. It seems to fly very well. I'm just gonna keep throttle on. What I want to see is if it'll cut off like a low voltage cut. So I'm still throttle up. Yeah, so it's got a low voltage cut off, so you won't destroy the battery, so that's good. Let me power this thing off, and let's go ahead and sit back down and do like a little pros and cons on this thing. Okay, I just turned off the controller and you could hear that sound. So cool sound effects. To tell you the truth, out of the few AirHogs Star Wars things I tested, this one is actually pretty decent. I've tested a few other ones and I was having some trouble, but this is just kind of a mini quad and the shell is just built around it. And it, you know, as you can see, it's got this LED laser tag deal. So if you do have another one of these, you can play laser tag with it. It's kind of neat. Any other crafts that have the laser tag capability, or when you fire it, shooting that invisible beam. So that's kind of neat. Definite pro. The flight time, as you can see, was a little bit limited just because this thing is so big and there's this big shell on everything. You'll also have a little bit less flight time when you do put the propeller guards on there. So I'd recommend taking those off because this actually acts as kind of a propeller guard in itself, the side wings here. So overall, I'm actually pretty pleased with this one. It did pretty well. It flew very well. You only have one rate of flight, but it did pretty well in that one rate. Pretty stable. A little bit of wandering occasionally just because there's, you know, these are influencing the airflow. Actually, it goes this way. So the airflow is actually being kind of influenced by these side wings here. So you're gonna get a little bit of wobbly once in a while. But man, for a kid or an adult that's really into Star Wars, this is definitely something you might want to put on your list. I kind of like this one. Anyway guys, I do a lot of reviews like this, so check out my channel and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget, I'll have this thing down in the link in the description so you can check it out yourself. Go ahead and click that link and check out the current pricing and a little bit more specs in that link. Anyway guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.